Hi, I'm Judy Ricketson for Families in Global Transition, and I'm here today with Ruth van Reken, co-author of the book on TCKs, Third Culture Kids, Growing Up Among Worlds. Ruth is a second-generation TCK, mother of three now adult TCKs. She works extensively with third culture kids and adult TCKs, speaks both nationally and internationally, and is also co-founder and a regular speaker at the annual Families in Global Transition conference. Joining us is Michael Pollock, son of FIGT's first keynote speaker and Ruth's co-author, the late David Pollock. Michael has spent his career in education and support programs for third culture kids and is founder of Daraja, a cross-cultural leadership program which encourages and equips young adult third culture kids as they transition into adult life. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thanks for having me here.
Michael, can you start please by telling us what you are going to be presenting at the conference?
Yes, as Ruth and I got into a conversation about what we would have to say, particularly about non-traditional families or redefining what it's like to be a family internationally, we started discussing some of the families that we had worked with. I was a principal, and then I also worked with families all across our system, 6 schools in China, and found that the families that we worked with included, and I'm going to say this may be a little radical. The families included singles, it's included couples without children, included widows, single moms with and without their children, grandparents, and parents with adopted children, as well as the two parent with children traditional family. The process of relocation and transition for them, for all those families, include a whole tapestry of forms coming from countries that were not the U.S., families who were able to do pre-field orientations and those who weren't, and what we began to think about was what tools do actually do relocation companies or sending agencies, or whether it's a business or military, what tools are people do they have in hand to walk through the process of transition, the transition bridge, if you will, and to look at it objectively, look at and identify where there might be holes. So we're developing, and we hope to start a conversation about that flow of care through the transition process, and a way to assess, basically little preview using some of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, assess how well are we doing that care.
Oh, that sounds like it's going to be extremely interesting. Now, Ruth, I know in recent years you have been working to take the conversation beyond the more focused area of just third culture kids. So this fits very nicely with the conference's theme this year, the Global Family Redefined. Would you like to talk a little bit about where your focus of interest is these days?
Sure, thank you for having me. And I want to say that when I met Dave Pollock, Mike's father, he was the first person I ever heard talk about flow of care. And so it's been interesting to follow it and see Mike take it to another level for non-traditional families, because when I first got into this, of course, third culture kids mostly were from one country, went to another country, their parents were from the same country. And as the years have gone by, for those who are TCKs, many of them have much more complex stories. They've been in many more countries. Mm-hmm. They have parents from different continents. They have parents from different nationalities. But way beyond that, as I've been talking about third culture kids, people from many, many other types of backgrounds have come and said, well, I relate to the profile that Dave formed, and so why? And in each situation, particularly when it comes down to identity, there's some cross-cultural overlay. Perhaps they've been raised by bicultural parents. Many schools now have local kids who are coming into international schools because the parents want them to learn English. So I'm very, very excited that as we think about what kind of care is it that third culture kid families need, then how is it that we support in a global way this incredible kind of new experiment that we've never done before, where people of all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of countries are mixing and matching? I was at a conference last week in Berlin for middle school teachers in international school. One school had 128 nationalities in their school. I mean, that's just phenomenal. That is completely different than when I grew up. And if it was an American school, you had American kids. If it was a British school, you had British kids. So I'm really, really interested, and I love what Mike is doing and what he's developing, because how do we help kids now in a completely new way of forming their identity, to become confident, to move on as effective people using the incredible gifts? We haven't even begun to recognize the gifts of some minority kids who are cultural bridges and things like that. So I wanted to join Mike in this seminar because I believe so much that the gifts are great, and if we can help the kids learn how to do the transitions, and it may not be international transitions, but some kids are making a transition every day between school and home, or they go to different parents. So that's why I want to do this, and I want to learn and keep working with Mike and others to see how what we've already learned can be applied in bigger ways. So, Mike, I love what you're doing, and Judy, thank you for helping us all.
Okay, thank you so much indeed. We're really looking forward to your presentation. I know it's going to be one of the highlights of the conference. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Judy.